In this lesson, we'll implement consecutive chains so that after clearing a chain, if there are new blocks that need to be cleared, they will be cleared as well, and so forth. So you can make consecutive chains now. Also, an issue that we had to fix is that sometimes we had these empty squares like this, and the reason being was that we were swapping the blocks, but the blocks themselves were not being modified, as in their row and col attributes were not being changed. So now, if we go to board.js and swap, we also need to make sure that they change their positions. So we'll create a variable called temp position, which will have a row of source.row and a column of source.col. Then source.row will be set to target.row and source.col will be set to target.col. Target.row needs to be set to temp position.row, and the same thing for the columns. So now we are no longer gonna get those empty squares. So this update board is in a function. Oh yes, because also we're gonna be adding, instead of doing we had in here the clearing of all the chains and also the update of the grid, but I'm putting down now in a new method called update board, and update board will take care of the details of the board updating process as well as the consecutive chains, and then we'll be able to test this thing that I just fixed. So on game.js we'll add that new update board, which will take care of the things that I had said that we were doing before. So that one was clear chains, and the other thing was this.board.update grid. So now we have the same thing that we had before. So we can actually make sure that we're no longer gonna have the empty ones. But as you can see, the UI is still blocked, and we have now chains, so we need to implement consecutive chains. After an update, we want to wait some milliseconds and then do the check and the new killing of blocks. So after the dropping has ended, we need to wait a little bit. This.game.time.event.add, we're going to wait animation time, and we pass in the context as well. And after that animation time completes, we want to see if there's new chains. See if there are new chains. This.board.find all chains. So we want to see if there's new chains. And if there are new chains, as you can see, if there happen to be new chains, then we need to call this again. Then we need to this.update board. So this will be kept on being called indefinitely until there are no more chains left. And then when there are no more chains left, then we clear the selection so that we can unblock the UI and keep on playing. So see how now we can actually play on forever, because it doesn't get the empty squares like we did before, and the UI is now ready to be used again. So see how we get chain one. So we got a chain, then we got another chain, then you might get several ones. And that gives us to the end of implementing all of the mechanics of a match 3 game. So games like Candy Crush, like Zookeeper, Bejeweled, they all work in this manner. What other things you could add to this, combining everything you've learned from other games? So you could have a time limit, you could have a score, you could have a high score, or you could have a number of counting the number of moves that you're doing. For example, in Candy Crush, every time that you move, every time there's a swap, you increment a counter and say that you only have 10 different, you can only do 20 moves in this level, and you have to complete X amount of cards blocks being destroyed, or anything like that. So you can implement your own custom rules to this, but this is pretty much the core of any match 3 type of game. So to summarize, what we did in this lesson was to put the update method in its own to put the update functionality that used to be just these 2 lines now in its own method, so we can also do waiting a little bit and do another check and so forth. The good thing also about using animation time is that you can have the game playing at a much slower speed. For example, everything gets updated in a second and you have more time to see everything that's happening. So you might want to adjust that a bit so that it matches your own needs.